everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I am Jody Grinwald. This week, my guests are Chaya Pamula and Elaine Tanimura. Chaya is a technologist, philanthropist, a visionary, mentor, investor, an entrepreneur, and a passionate human being. She holds an MBA and executive education certification from Harvard University. Chaya is the co-founder, president, and CEO of PAMTEN. She also is the founder of two not-for-profit organizations, SheTek and Softkin. PAMTEN provides technology information services to a diverse set of clients and has been ranked an Inc. 5000 company. Chaya's passion is to empower young girls and women in the field of technology, which led her to launch SheTek, a not-for-profit organization with a mission to increase the percentage of women represented in the technology industry. Chaya also founded Softkin, a not-for-profit organization that creates loving and caring homes for destitute and underprivileged. Although she was a shy child growing up, Chaya became a changemaker mentor and is setting an incredible example. While interviewing Chaya on video, she has above her head written, "Be the change." That is exactly what she is doing each and every day. Elaine is a highly skilled project manager with over 25 years experience managing complex, multifunction, global projects. In her current role at PAMTEN, Elaine is responsible for client satisfaction and retention. She also leads many projects and initiatives for SheTek. Elaine is the oldest of four and has been an introvert for most of her life. A milestone birthday made her realize that it is time to just be who she wants to be in the world. Listen in to hear more about how these two women are using their incredible voices. Please subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel. Stream this podcast on all streaming sites. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It. I am the CEO and co-founder of the Zach G. Uploader Kids Foundation, a not-for-profit organization that is making a difference in the lives of children with financial barriers who are looking for an ongoing creative connection through the performing arts. Please visit uploaderkids.org for more information. And for more information about this podcast and my consulting services, visit todayisthedayliveit.com. Have a great week, everyone. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast, where I always say every single week I get to interview the most incredible and amazing people who are making a difference in their corner of the world or the world in its whole. And I have to tell you today, I have two amazing guests who I am so excited to share information about. So hi, Elaine Tanimura. How are you doing?
I'm good, Jody. How are you?
Oh, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining. And I have Chaya Pamula. Chaya, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining as well.
Hi, Jody. Thank you so much. Pleasure to be on this.
Thank you. So as I always say, I'm going to read the bios because everybody works so hard to be able to put the words on paper here. So I'm going to do that. First, I'm going to read Elaine's bio. Elaine is the executive project manager for PAMTEN. Elaine is highly skilled project manager with over 25 years experience managing complex, multifunction global projects. Prior to joining PAMTEN, Elaine worked exclusively with a global capital management company in roles that utilized her project management, program management, and client service skills. In her role at PAMTEN, Elaine is responsible for client satisfaction and retention. She also leads many projects and initiatives for SheTek, which we're going to talk about. I'm really excited to talk about SheTek, a nonprofit organization founded by PAMTEN, whose mission is to increase the number of women and allies in technology jobs. Elaine also has a passion for social responsibility and serves in a leadership position with the Dominican Sisters of Caldwell, New Jersey, and is on the board of the Interfaith Caregivers of Greater Mercer County. She's also a volunteer career coach with New Start Career Network. Elaine, again, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And Chaya Pamula. Chaya is a technologist, philanthropist, a visionary, mentor, investor, and entrepreneur, and above all, a passionate human being. She holds an MBA and an executive education certification from Harvard University. She has over 25 years of information technology experience and has led many productivity initiatives that involved business process improvement, business transformation, re-engineering, and IT portfolio optimization. As president and CEO of PAMTEN, which she co-founded in 2007, Chaya conceptualizes innovative software products for PAMTEN and its clients and oversees them from development to implementation. Chaya combines her business acumen and passion for charity to found Softkin, a nonprofit organization that creates loving and caring homes for destitute and underprivileged children. Softkin operates in the United States and in India and supports over 100 beautiful children. Her passion is empowering young women
young girls and women in the field of technology, and that led her to found another nonprofit called SheTek in 2018. SheTek is a nonprofit organization with a mission to increase the percentage of women represented in the technology industry by creating a pipeline of talent that is highly skilled and job ready. Chaya has won several awards, and I just want to mention a few. Entrepreneur Leader of the Year, Women of Business Excellence Award, NJBIA Executive of the Year Award, NJBiz 2018 Best 50 Women in Business, New Jersey Top 50 Fastest Growing Companies, and Smart CEOs Future 50 Companies. Well, I have to say to both of you, incredible, incredible backgrounds. And I think that kudos to you. But I always like to ask this question. Elaine, I'm going to ask you this first. I just ask you, what did you think about when I read everybody's bio? Isn't it incredible when you see the words on paper?
Yes, definitely. Yes. I don't like to really hear about myself, but yes, I think that we all have to step back and be proud for what we've done and how we've done it.
So Chaya, you know, I mean, obviously I read your bio and I do ask this question to most of my guests too. I think it is incredible to read, to hear back all the things that you've done, because sometimes we forget. Did anything pop up for you when I was reading your bio?
I think every time somebody reads my bio, it reminds me the purpose of why I'm here on this earth. For all the nonprofit work that I do, which I'm very passionate about. And sometimes it makes me feel good because when I started those things, in a very humble way, I started with few children for my nonprofit, and now they're all growing up and they're all successful. It just reminds me the journey that I had gone through and the support that I received.
Well, I'm glad.
Very humble.
Oh, and I'm glad that you even brought that up, because I always like to go back a little bit too. So let's talk a little bit about your childhood. And by the way, I have to say this because I keep looking at it. Be the change is above your head. And I just love seeing that because it's such a good message. Everybody who sees you on Zoom gets to see that beautiful message above your head. So that's awesome. And you're exuding all this positivity no matter where you go, even if it's just right above you. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Chaya as a young child, where you grew up and what were your interests and what kind of child you were, shy, outgoing?
Yeah, I grew up in a very large family. My father's siblings were about 16. And my father, being the eldest of the family, he had the responsibility to take care of his siblings after his father died. And I lived in a house full of over 20 people. And it was like community living. And we learned sharing. We learned about, how to mingle with people, how to sacrifice things. And also we had a lot of gratitude for everything that we received. And our parents taught us tremendous values. And unfortunately, I lost them when I was a young child. I lost my dad both of them when I was a teenager. I tell you, my childhood was so wonderful. And that's something I can go back and cherish about because I feel this generation do not have that luxury of the childhood we had. And my parents did everything they could to give us the best childhood. I was a very shy and naive person. As a child, I was very shy and I would not talk to people. If anyone visited our house, I would be actually hiding in a room. So that was the kind of person. And today people look at me and they say, we can't even believe it's the same girl. So I think life teaches you a lot of lessons, and how you turn your life into which path, and based on your learnings, it's all in our hands how we mold our life. And I'm fortunate that I've had this positive and very supportive system around me, and today whatever I am, I give a lot of credit to people that support me.
Wow, and that is an interesting way to live, with so many people in the house with you, and that support system, right, is incredible. And what is interesting too is that you've changed that, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. You've changed that support system now to be external for those who need you outside in the world. you've created this wonderful support system through the companies that you have launched. So that I'm looking forward to sharing more about that. But also you and I have that in common about hiding and not wanting and being very shy. I never thought I'd have a podcast or run organizations.
Look at you.
Ever in our lives, right? I was the one hiding under the desk when the teacher would be like, let me look at who I'm going to call on. And I'd pray, please let it not be me. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So Elaine, I want to ask you the same question, where you grew up and whether you were shy or outgoing and what kind of child you were as well.
Yes, so I can definitely say I was shy. I'm actually the oldest of four in a Italian background family. So family, respect, just all of that is part of my DNA. Being the oldest, my mother will tell you that, I was born old. I always took the responsibility. I was the little mother helping wherever I could. And I think that's, made me part of who I am today. I still want to help people and, give back. So that's really how I started. And as far as being shy, yes, I think probably until, 10 years ago, I would probably define myself as still, being shy. So yes, I could definitely relate to what you both said.
That's interesting. You said that was 10 years ago. So you kind of know when the switch flipped a little bit for yourself. Was there something that did that flipped that switch for you that you can remember?
I think I'll say it was a milestone age. I'll leave it at that. I will say at that point, I said, you know what, this is who I am. This is, this is me. And either you're going to like me or not. And I'm going to say what I have to say. And it's all been good. I wish I would have done it, 20 or 30 years, before, but yes, that's when it happened.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And for me, I think I started that journey when I was 26 after my first daughter. After you go through childbirth and all of that, I think life changes. But I agree with you. As we get older, I think our filter changes and some of us start to see our worth and our value and wanting to make a difference. And like you said, you're going to like me for who I am. And that's it. I can't change.
Right.
I'm curious to ask you that as well. So was there a time that you went from that child hiding in the room to realizing, wait a second, I have a voice and I need to use it, because you're using it in so many different ways right now?
Yeah, it's been a continuous evolution, I would say. I think after my parents passed away and I had to live with my, extended family, my uncles and aunts, I was still very, very shy and naive. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And it took me some time to start looking at others and learning from them, and also feeling that, one big step I would say that made me to express what I wanted is when my mother was going into the surgery room, operation theater. She had the chance to speak to everyone. And the one thing that she said to me was that I should be independent. And she said that I want you to educate yourself well enough and be independent, and if possible, help others, but don't depend on others. And you should be on your own. And that's something that stuck with me. So even after she passed away, when people were trying to get me married, I had to convince them to let me study further and also join, do a job and, learn how the work environment is going to be and gain some experience before they get me married. And fortunately, I got the chance to do so. If I didn't ask, I wouldn't have gotten that chance. So I think it's important to ask when you want something. I think as and when I started to see some success in my career, in my life, my confidence level started to go up. And once the confidence builds in you, it really does the magic, right? You start believing in yourself, and then you start aiming for higher and higher things. And I think it was in my 40s, I think something hit me really hard to say, what is that when I look back, I can be very proud of and be extremely satisfied and feel the life's purpose. And that's when I don't know how many people believe in it, but this calling that happened to me at that time. And I wanted to do something for children after my parents passed away. I felt that I'm lucky enough to have all this. but how about some children who don't have these opportunities? So how can I help them? And that sat with me for 40 years. And then suddenly I woke up and I said, I got to do something about it. So to answer your question, I think it's really the more and more success you see in your life, and you realize your self-worth, and also realize, what you're capable of, I think automatically your confidence levels will build and you will start to aim to achieve more and more. And that's what exactly happened in my life.
And everything you just said is so very true. And I think when we're in our 20s and 30s, we may not even realize that because, right, we're building our careers.
Right.
A little green, right? We're still learning. And then we might go into that family life and we don't realize that during all those times we're taking something with us. And then all of a sudden there's this aha moment where you're like, wait a minute, I've successfully done this and this and this, and I can go after what I really want. I can find my purpose. Even though just for the listeners who are out there who feel like I have this purpose inside, but I don't know if it's possible. Did you have mentors along the way, Chaya, that helped you as you were growing in your profession?
Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of mentors. I didn't even know what mentorship meant during my young age. But I took a lot of risks. I took a lot of decisions, especially I'll say with my nonprofit work. That was a bold decision to step out and establish this nonprofit. There were a lot of people who tried to pull me back, saying this is a tremendous responsibility I'm taking. It's a lifetime responsibility. But there are a few people who supported me, my own family, my husband, my daughter, and a couple of good friends, and one of my uncles. They've been with me and supported me. So I think it is important that not to second guess, right? If you have something, there's a strong calling and there's a passion to do, the sky is not going to fall on your head by trying it out. I think at least try it out, right? That's how I started, and I had absolutely no confidence in that I could run this for years. But, I learned along the way. So I think I would say once I started my professional career, I realized what mentorship means. And today I have several mentors for different things.
Wow.
So I didn't have at the right time, but now I'm glad I have them.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think certain people feel like when they get to a certain age, you don't need a mentor, you just will be one. But I think no matter what age you are, that's just my opinion, mentorship is so important. What do you both feel about that?
I let Elaine say, but I would say that I always chose mentors for different things. It's not just one mentor. So I have a mentor for my philanthropy work, and I have a mentor for my professional work. I have actually more than one mentors for my professional work. So I think it's important to see the strengths in other people and to find how they can help you to move forward.
Absolutely. Elaine, what are your thoughts on mentorship?
Yeah, I agree. I was fortunate, in my professional corporate world, we almost had, we had programs where, you would sign up and they would match you for whatever you were looking for at the time. So as far as, professionally, I've always had that. Now that the last, few years have wandered over into the nonprofit world, I'm finding my own mentors. And in fact, I've been talking to people about it, and then I decided, let me just kind of create like an informal mentorship board of my own that I'm using for different things. So I've been doing that, and I've met, a lot of good people over the last few months by just talking and about different topics that I'm interested in learning more about. So yes, I think it's very important at any age and any point in your career.
Elaine, what was your first job out of school?
My first job was as a secretary, actually, at Prudential. And I was, kind of an entry level right out of school. And I started, and it was a couple months into it. And unfortunately, the man that I was assigned to had a heart attack, and he was okay, but he decided to retire. So I just thought they were going to place me in another secretarial position. And this woman, who was actually one of my first, mentors at a very young age, she said, we see something different in you. We think you could do more than what you're doing. Would you be interested in working in personnel? So I'm, dating myself, but that's what it was called. And I started, just doing a variety of different projects. And I think that was before there was a project manager title, I'm sure. But, I think it was just my natural, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I do. So I was always grateful to her. I mean, it's been many, many years. I still keep in touch with her, Christmas cards. But, it was just somebody that saw something in me and said, let's put her here.
Right. And do you see kind of a common denominator between that first job and the work you're doing right now? If you had to pull out one quality, what would it be?
Well, I think organizational skills, time management, getting things done. I mean, I think Chaya would agree that that's kind of it's my middle name. So that's what I enjoy doing.
I can say Elaine is extremely organized. And that's really important to be successful on the job.
Without a doubt. Chaya, what was your first job out of school?
Oh boy, my first job, I worked with a tax consultant. I was working in the accounting space because I was an undergraduate in accounting. And soon after my undergraduation, because my mother passed away, we had to move to the city Mumbai in India. And I lived with my uncle, and he used to work for a big pharma company. And they had a tax consultant and was looking for some help, and then I got the job. So I used to maintain personal accounts and company taxation and all that stuff, which is helping me in my business now. So that was my first job, and then I learned computers and then moved into the IT world.
So let's talk about that, right? Because it's amazing. I love seeing women in IT. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why there isn't, more women in IT as well. But tell us about PAMTEN and why you started it, how you started it, and what it's giving to people right now, some of the services you supply.
Sure. We started PAMTEN in 2007. I used to work for a pharma company here in New Jersey in the IT division. And during that time, I actually took a break to start my nonprofit for children, Softkin, support organization for kids in need. So I took a break. I went to India. I started the organization. I came back. My job was still waiting. I joined back the company. And then after a couple of years, it felt like my nonprofit is growing and I need to do something much larger than just running a nonprofit. What's the future for these children? And that's when I started to think about why not utilize my own skills to create something larger where I want a platform that can give opportunities to these children. And my skills are pretty much in technology. So I thought of this company. So I co-founded PAMTEN with my business partner, Prasad Tenjirla, who also is extremely passionate about giving back to the society. So we started in 2007 and I was there with the company. And then I left the pharma company. Then I said, you know what, I'm going to grow this company and my nonprofit. So both grew at the same pace. So we are today able to give a platform for all these children. We have absorbed some of them as our employees, and some of them, they come in as interns into our company. So we are providing these opportunities to them. And my experience, even prior to starting PAMTEN, being in the technology field, I have experienced seeing very, very few women in technology. I'll give you one example. One of the jobs that I was at in India was a manufacturing company, and I was the only woman out of 5,000 employees. And during the interview, the management told me, they alerted me, they warned me, saying that I would be the only woman in the premises. And I was pretty naive about it. I said, I don't care who it is, I can do my job. So I took the job. But it was a real difficult, challenging job because even the men in the company, they were not used to reporting to a woman. And even in the meetings, men won't look eye to eye and talk to you. And you have to raise your voice to be heard. And, it was several experiences. If I start sharing them, it can take full day for you to complete the podcast. But those experiences made me stronger. And I was less confrontational. I had more of a problem solving approach. So which also taught me how to be patient and how to build your own confidence to address the situation and be very candid and, pretty straightforward about, if you don't like a certain things said to you or, somebody, how they behaved, you don't like it, you should be able to express it to the person. You need some level of confidence, self-confidence to do that, and self-belief. That helped me a lot. I learned so many things during this time. And this experience taught me that there are not many women in this industry. And again, after I started building the company, when we are opening new positions, even today, I don't see many women applying for those positions. And in my nonprofit, I see the girls are growing up, but even after seeing me day to day, they still are not choosing the technology programs or STEM programs. So that's what made me a little curious about why can't we do something about this, to create something and encourage these women to get into technology. About 3 years ago, one of my good friend, we were talking and we said, why don't we start something to offer this to these women to be trained and then find jobs, because we're already in the industry. And that's what, caused, instilled this passion to do something about it. And I said, okay, let me look into how can we create an organization that can help these women to get into technology space. So then I founded SheTek, but initially SheTek was started as an initiative under PAMTEN, but we converted that as a nonprofit organization just about a year ago. And there is an amazing, amazing response for SheTek once people came to know what we do at SheTek. So the mission of SheTek is to, obviously our goal is to increase the percentage of women represented in the technology industry. But our mission is really to create a platform, a community for these women to feel that they're supported in whatever they do. And especially in the technology industry, there are very few women in the senior level positions. And even if you look at in your own families, you don't see many women in the technology space. So there are not many to look up to and learn from. So how do we create a community of all these successful women who can be great support and others can learn from their stories? And also, we can create some interest in these women to learn more about technology. So that's the whole intention. So we engage all these young women and also girls and then women who are trying to get back into workforce, or women who have got some technology background but are intimidated, don't want to go back to technology. So different categories of women who are really intimidated by technology and not willing to get into this space. And we're trying to engage and empower them through trainings and upskill programs, and then we find employment opportunities for these women. So that's the whole, mission of SheTek. And a good thing that I feel very proud about is most of our programs are virtual programs. So even my children from the other nonprofit, Softkin, they're able to attend these programs, and I can see the difference in them. So even if we can change few at a time, we are happy that we are able to do this. And Elaine is leading the SheTek effort for us. And obviously we just spoke about her organizing skills, and Elaine and Meg is another person. And we are PAMTEN employees volunteer a lot of their time. And we also have great advisory board, women in senior leadership positions from different companies and universities. They're all part of the board. And we are really, really thrilled about the amount of support we receive for SheTek and the difference we are able to make through SheTek. And PAMTEN, as a for-profit company, we offer software solutions. We are also offering IT advisory and IT staffing solutions. We are into cybersecurity. also into artificial intelligence solutions. We have evolved quite a bit from the time we started the company. And we work with small to mid-sized companies as well as large corporations. And we are a minority women certified company. I would say we have a global presence because we are headquartered in New Jersey. We have office in New York. And then we have 2 offices in Canada, Mississauga and Montreal. And then we have 2 offices in India, in Hyderabad and Vizag. So we are growing as we speak. And we also have a couple of products that one is specifically for organizations that have members and they want to connect the members and collaborate. We have a product called BizLego. And we also have another product, online learning product called Collier. So we are very, very proud of what we do. And we are in the growth zone. And one thing I would say the differentiator for our company is every employee and every client of ours, they feel extremely proud to be part of our company, especially they know the purpose of the company. PAMTEN gives a financial support to our nonprofit work. And also we are creating opportunities for these children. And all our employees and clients they feel some purpose working with us. And those values are instilled in our company's values. Everyone, pays attention to building relationships. Money follows, it's important that you build relationships and you give your best to your clients. And that's what we do at PAMTEN.
Funny, I have a mantra that's lead with mission and the money will follow. So you don't need to worry about the money because if you lead with the heart and the mission, that's exactly what happens. That's always. I want to go back to something important that you said. The intimidation for women to get into this field. Why do you feel that is? And how are you I mean, we know all the things you're doing to work to overcome it, but how are you seeing the numbers change since you started the organization?
Yeah, I think they are changing even from the time I started my career in the technology space. I think the numbers are changing, but not at the pace you would want them to, right? You still see about 27% of women represented in technology industry, not more than 8 or 9% in the senior level positions, right? And after the Me Too movement, you can see that many organizations are striving to focus on diversity and inclusion, Me Too movement, and also some of the recent incidents. And I think there is a lot of awareness now, but I think it's important for organizations to understand how to change the equation, right? So awareness is not enough. I think it's important. Education is important. And also the men need to be part of this movement. Cannot be just women trying to do this. So even for SheTek, we say the doors are open for men to join. So we are actually working on a program on gender equity at work, trying to help women who feel intimidated, being less numbers in the company and not having a voice. And also, how do we bring both of them, men and women, together to understand each other's challenges and to bring that equilibrium in working together. So that's the program we're trying to launch. Pretty soon we'll be launching that program through SheTek. But to go back to your point, the intimidation is because you don't see many people like you in the industry. That's one thing. And second thing is, right from our childhood, if you see pictures of technology, do you see more women or more men? I think it's changing recently. But if it's somebody sitting in front of a computer, you would see a man with even if you look at hackers and those pictures of cybersecurity, you see men sitting with the hood, right? And it can be a woman, right? Why are women not placed in these positions, right? So we are tuned from childhood to accept that it is a man's role, not a woman's role. Just like in manufacturing, you speak about NASA, engineering, and some of these sectors, right? Finance, you don't see many women because, you don't really relate women to those positions. I think it's important that we change that. And women can also start to see themselves in those positions. It's great to see now women going into space. These are all, great things happening now. But I think the more and more we do these things, there's a lot more confidence in women to think that, yes, this field is also for me, not just for men.
Right. So it starts out when we're young. The subliminal messaging that we're given is it really does harm us, and we don't realize it. You know, and the pictures, like you said, and it's such a really, really good point. Elaine, I want to ask you, can you give us some more information about what you do to as to support SheTek and your role with SheTek?
Sure. So as Chaya said, I really lead the day-to-day activities for SheTek. So we have a variety of programs and initiatives. We have a monthly webinar series, which we call the Outlet, which is sometimes Chaya with another business leader, kind of a fireside chat, talking about a topic related to leadership, mentorship, what could be even a technical topic. So those have been very well received. We have 70, 80 people registered for them each month. We also have, right now we have a data curator boot camp, a technical training going on. We're very proud of it. It's our second cohort. It will be wrapping up in a couple of weeks. We had 20 students the first time. We have 20 students now. Saturday mornings that they're engaged, giving up a Saturday morning in the summer, right? To be on this Zoom call. Teaching them, technical things, Excel, Tableaus, SQL, as well as job preparedness. So we have a resume writing session, we have a networking, how to use LinkedIn, interview skills, and then they have a hands-on project. So it's not just they're learning, how to do a pivot table, but now they have to have a data set, pull the data and visualize it, show it in a way that you can interpreting the data. So that's another offering. We have a mentorship program that is going to be launching very soon. So a 6-month commitment, mentors and mentees will be matched. And it's really focusing on technical. So as Chaya was saying, how to build these, leaders in the technical space. So that's another area. And Chaya mentioned the gender equality workshop that we're working on. We also have a community, our SheTek community, which is using our platform BizLego. And we have about 750 members in the community. We have discussion board, we have, or events are posted there. It's a way for people to match with similar skills and interests. So you could set up a profile and find someone that is interested in you, either interested in a technology skill that you might have, or something more personal. So that's our community. So those are some of the things that where I lead and take charge of on a day-to-day basis.
Elaine, where can people find out more information about
SheTek? Our website is SheTek.net, SheTek.net, as well as our community. So our SheTek community, you can get to that from the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, because that is something everybody should go take a look at. I mean, it's incredible, the statistics that Chaya has been sharing around this. Chaya, we've mentioned Softkin a few times, but we really didn't go over all the incredible work that is going on there as well. And I really want to go back to Softkin, because after reading about Softkin, it was so impressive what you started, and you've mentioned it a couple of times during the podcast. Can you give a background on Softkin?
Yeah, sure. Softkin, as it says, it's a support organization for kids in need. So we bring orphans, street children, underprivileged children, and we actually give them a very caring home. So the model is wanted to create a home and give a family to these children, right? Because as I said, in my childhood, I grew up in like a community-like family, and all the values I learned through that experience, I still feel that children, if they're growing up in a huge family or community around them, the values they learn are incredible. And many of these street children do not have that opportunity to have people around them to teach them and learn from. So I wanted to give a family to these children. So we call that as a home. So we create these homes. Each home consists of about 15, 20 children. And the caretakers are also women we bring from the streets. These women are given rehab, medical attention, and some training to take different positions in the organization. Most times they become either cooks or caretakers, or sometimes, these are the women who have some education background. We try to give them a little bit more education to find some administrative jobs for them as well. So the women who come from similar backgrounds, they can understand the pain of these children. So that's what is the binding, that created in the home. So the children are treated just like our own children. They go to regular schools, and I speak to them twice a day. And in a day, sometimes I end up spending 4 to 5 hours with the children. I know everybody by name. And they just don't even have to say their name. They're on the phone. I know who they are. And I used to visit every 3 months. I used to visit and spend time with the children, but with pandemic, it's over in a year. I'm really eager to go see them. And these children are taken from at any age, because some of these house mothers who come from the streets, they come with infants, right? So, and we take in any early age. Sometimes we bring in 4 years, 3 years children. So our age, the age today, it ranges anywhere between 4 years to 22 years, 23 years. We do not send away the children after they are 18 years old, because they pretty much start their school late, and they're malnutritioned, and they're not as smart as you. They're street smart, but not necessarily in the academic world. But we give them that training and everything. So we keep them until they are self-sustenant, right? So they have to find their jobs, and they have to be settled financially. They should be able to manage themselves. Then we let them go out of the organization. But also, they're taught to give back. So these children who have left our organization also support the organization. So we have this alumni now, and we also have a few of them who are working in our company. What gives me the satisfaction is there are many institutions and hostels. I think these children know how to live. We don't have to teach them how to live. But you know what they don't have is the love and the care. If we give them the necessary love and care, there's so many hidden talents that surface. It's amazing. They're so talented. So putting them in the right track and teaching them the values of life, I think will make them very, very successful. And that's what we are able to do through Softkin. And I'm very, very fortunate to have great support from many people in US, India, and sometimes across, a few other countries. And I'm very, very fortunate and also very thankful to all our sponsors who've been supporting, including our employees in our company and some of our clients.
Your model is incredible, and something that when I looked at and read about it, I thought, how incredible is this that you're taking women who understand the children, right? Because it's not like taking somebody who's super educated and feeling superior in some cases or some way. You're actually taking women and training them and helping them, and they can understand the kids. It's a model that's incredible, and congratulations to you. And as I'm sitting here thinking about all that you've done, and you talked about your mom, I just think about how incredibly proud she is wherever she is, looking at you and all the things. You listen to exactly what the message that she told you about being independent and being able to do these incredible things. And it reminds me, so the foundation that I started is in honor of my dad, who gave me messages very similar to you. And just like what you're doing with kids, we just stopped letting kids go after that age of 18, because we feel like that's too soon. They need that. They're talented, and they want to continue to take lessons through the foundation that we have. So it's very interesting. And I just love talking to like-minded people who see the value in what kids can bring to the community and the importance of educating them. Let me ask you, so you said some of the kids from Softkin then are now also, they listen in, they're part of what you're doing here in the United States. Do you have any a success story that you can share?
Yes, of course. These kids were very shy to communicate. And when they're encouraged to join these programs, we also have breakout rooms and networking. And some of these kids join that. It's very interesting. The challenge for them is to understand the accent here people speak, and then also they're intimidated by, a different culture and different set of people. But they're able to overcome all of that. And we recently had a virtual and annual fundraiser for Softkin, and the kids were on a panel, and they were not prepared with any questions, and there were questions from the audience, and very confidently in English they were able to respond to those questions, and that brought tears to my eyes. I was like, this is it. They know how to communicate, they know how to address in a public, how to speak in a public, and impromptu questions they were able to respond from their heart. They were able to respond to, and that's a great achievement for me, and I felt really proud for them.
And you know what you talked about before, not having mentors when you were younger, only when you were older now, but you have become obviously an incredible mentor to those who are younger, and you're starting those children out sooner with your mentorship. I just think that how incredible it is that with all the work you're doing, you've been spending hours upon hours, and you know everybody's name, and that's incredible, and dedication. And I would assume, and I don't like to assume, but
they call me mom, so I have to know their names.
Oh my goodness! I can only assume the great fulfillment that it must give you to see them grow.
Right. I do not compromise my time for them, and they come first for me more than anything else.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank you for sharing that incredible story. It's just it's incredible to hear, right? You worked for an organization where 5,000 people were men, and it was just you, and your tenacity to say, I'm going to still stay here, right? And I say that because there are people who are listening that may not feel like they have the strength to do certain things in their life, or the ability to move forward to the things that they want. So just hearing stories like this can absolutely change that. And then Elaine, you talk about the fact that you're really learning the whole nonprofit spectrum now, right? At this point of your career. Let me ask you this question. It's really important for the nonprofits and for-profits to kind of bridge the gap between them. What are you seeing as you're in this learning process right now, right? Because it's great to ask somebody who's just seeing that and been working on both sides. What are you seeing are some of the ways, the most beneficial ways to work between the nonprofits and for-profit sectors?
I think part of it is that there's a crossover, right? There's definitely skills from both that are used, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit. And I think that just the collaboration, the partnership, letting for-profit companies know how they can help us, giving their time, their talent, their treasure, because we need that. And then also we have a lot to offer for-profits as well, with, our social responsibility and being those role models for corporations.
Absolutely. Yeah, I started the NJBIA's first not-for-profit council. They didn't have one before, and we really focused on something that I felt that was missing, bridging the gap between the conversations of the nonprofits and the for-profits. Chaya, what do you think is still may be missing? How do we do even better job, do you think, knowing that you really do straddle both the nonprofit and for-profit sector?
I think it's important for the organizations to educate their employees about the nonprofit world. A lot of times we know one or two organizations and we continue to engage with them, but there's so much out there. I'm still learning about it because there's so many opportunities to give back. There's so many threads. And I think the missing link, I would say, is corporates have connections with different nonprofits, but still I think they struggle how to engage their employees in volunteering opportunities. This has been, going in my mind. There are some technology platforms that would allow, but there is no platform that can give you a single platform that can give you volunteering opportunities, tracking down the volunteering hours, and giving that recognition and acknowledgement to people that are giving their time. But it's usually word of mouth, or with the few organizations that the companies are connected with. I think lately I'm seeing the company, there is a lot more awareness in the companies and they're encouraging the employees to volunteer. But I think it is also important for companies to actually be part of it rather than just expecting the employees to manage things on their own. So there has to be a strong relationship between a for-profit organization and nonprofit organization. A lot of times we think that just giving money, donating money will solve the problem. It doesn't. Creating opportunities for these underprivileged children, in our case, is a huge thing. It is not about giving a fish. It's about teaching them how to fish, right? It goes a long way. So I think the corporates have to start looking into activities that allow them the 3 T's, right? To share treasure, time, talent, right? They have to have these models that I know big corporations have, but I'm talking about small to mid-sized companies. They're still struggling how to do this. So
Absolutely.
once we can bridge that gap, I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity to support these nonprofits. But in my case, I would say it helped because, I believe in leadership with compassion. And I learned a lot with my nonprofit experience being a leader in that world where I'm sitting down with these women from streets and understanding their issues and talking to them at that level. And then coming to the company wearing a strategy hat and speaking about company and business and next steps for the business. There's a tremendous, difference between the roles that I play, but I learned a lot how to switch my hat within a second and then play that role. And it's an incredible experience and I love it. And because I'm able to share this experience to the other side. My corporate experience and my leadership, the entrepreneurial experience, I'm able to teach that to the children to become leaders. So in my organization, Softkin, we have group leaders and we also have ministers. We have elections every end of every year and they're given responsibilities and they're asked to provide reports and they know how to write a report. All these things I'm able to bring it there because of my leadership in the for-profit world. And similarly, the values, the compassion, caring, and understanding from the, being humble and understanding others' pains and be able to still play that leadership role, being compassionate. I learned it from my Softkin side, right? So I'm able to bring these together. And that's the best thing I feel good about.
And I think that that's important for leaders anywhere, is to really understand the both sides, because even if you're only having and I don't say only, having a for-profit organization, it is about giving back to the community, no matter what size you are. I totally agree with that. And I think it's important. And knowledge bartering, as you talk about talent, can be done even in a greater way than I think it's done now with what I have seen. One of the things I'm on a mission to do, Chaya and Elaine, is I'm on a mission to change the word nonprofit, because
yes.
I am on this mission of calling it for impact organizations.
Yes.
I didn't create this, Simon Sinek did. I talk about this on many of my podcasts when I talk about nonprofit work, because we're the only sector called by what the IRS calls us, and what we're not. So we're nonprofit, whereas we are really for impact. And without the impact that we create in the community as nonprofits, we would not be helping as many people as we are.
I like what you said. I just hope that they change this term all through.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I could talk to you guys forever. Both of you ladies are amazing and have done incredible work, but I want to ask you both the question I ask everybody at the very end of the podcast. It is the last question. And that is, if you knew then what you know now, what would that be? Elaine, I'm going to start with you on that question. If you knew then what you know now, what would you share?
I think to have more confidence and just go for it. Like Chaya said, the world is not going to fall on your head if something goes wrong. But if you have a dream, if you have passion, if you want to just have the confidence, find mentors, find other people that could support you, but don't listen to that voice in your head that keeps saying all the reasons why you can't, and just go for it. And that's what I would say.
Awesome. Chaya.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing, right? I would say one other thing, that is ask. I used to hesitate so much to ask for anything. And I think I missed many opportunities by not asking. And I realized that later in my life. I would say encourage your children to ask and ask questions and challenge. Do not discourage them. I think if that happens in childhood and we carry it forward for too long, and it's important as parents to give that level of freedom to children to ask and experiment and be adventurous.
Such great messages, really, truly amazing messages. Chaya, how can people find out more information about Softkin?
It's Softkin, Sofkin, softkin.org. That's the website. And all the information is available on the website.
And then Elaine, PAMTEN, I just want to make sure everybody knows where can they find information about PAMTEN?
Sure, PAMTEN, PAMTEN.com.
And then SheTek, just one more time on the SheTek would be what?
SheTek, SheTek.net.
Awesome. Well, the incredible work. I hope you'll come back and give us an update on all the amazing work that you're doing in the communities that you serve, not just here in New Jersey, but across the world. And Chaya, I can only see tremendous growth. And thank you for sharing your total incredible story. Is there any last messages or words you'd like to share, Chaya, before we end?
Oh, I just want to thank you, Jody. I think it is so important for people to know and share the stories, success stories, that becomes a motivation for the individuals and inspiration as well. So you're doing an incredible job by running this podcast, and very much appreciative to your efforts. And thanks a lot for having us today with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Elaine, anything else that you would add?
No, just echo what Chaya said. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you both very much. And I'm going to say what I always say at the end of every podcast. Today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what are you going to do today to take one small or large step to get you closer to your goals? I hope you have an incredible week. And thank you so much again to Elaine and to Chaya for sharing your incredible story. Have a great day, everyone.
You too, Jody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.